Oh, thank you, John. Okay.
We're live.
Okay.
Carmen, can you hear okay?
Later.
I'm okay, I'm here,
All right.
moving. Even if it's not- It's almost done. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. I don't know. I might just leave her.
My mother keeps saying, you touch that, you should get rid of it. You touch that, you should get rid of it. And I'm like, I'm not ready to make those decisions right now.
Yeah, someone called.
People are pressured. I'm gonna do it.
Oh, yeah, right. When you hit that lotto.
I'm still keep this house.
Carmen, I'm glad you're with us tonight. We're going to have a slightly modified agenda. And I'm just wondering, since we're going to modify the agenda, would you like for us to move you up perhaps before finance officer? Your choice.
You know, a sneak preview, I don't have anything really to tell you, so that's fine if you keep it as it is, Mayor.
Okay, all right. Well, I would like to welcome everybody to the regular city council meeting for September 26, 2022. Call into order at 7 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Here.
Kate Collier. Here. Art Cacavelli.
Here.
Scott Pennell.
Here.
Jim Clark. John Curtis.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Here.
All rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. We have an agenda before us tonight, and I do have a slight modification. I think for most folks, it'll be on your desk where we're going to add a resolution number 25, series 2022. And it's going to be a resolution supporting the city's application for non-motorized trails grant funding from Colorado Parks and Wildlife for the Virginia Canyon Mountain Bike Park. And we are going to put that under resolutions right underneath resolution number 24. I would also like to add underneath the mayor's section towards the end, I would like to say something about the passing of Under Sheriff Bruce Snelling. And with that, may I have an approval or a recommendation motion for the approval of the modified agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda for September 26, 2022 with the modifications of resolution 25 and the note about Deputy Snelling.
And thank you, Kate. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand and signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And does anyone feel they have a conflict of interest tonight? Hearing none, I will move to approval of the minutes. And do I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes from September 12th, 2022.
Second.
All right, thank you. I have a first and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand and signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain. I wasn't here.
Yeah, thank you, John. Approval of the bills. Do I have a motion to approve the bills?
I move to approve the bills to September 26th, 2022.
Thank you, Art. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a first and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Art Cacavelli.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Jim Clark. John Curtis.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
All right. Do we have any public comment tonight? Oh, okay. All right. Sean, please come up and welcome.
Thank you.
Sean,
Can you do me a favor? Can you state your name and address for the record for me, please?
My name is Sean Eno, and I own and operate Extreme Footworks out of 222 17th Avenue, and I live across the street in 225 17th.
Oh, all right, well, welcome.
Thank you. So I'm a little late to the party here. I realized that the building at 222 17th Avenue has been assessed as a part of your special improvement district. I'm here to explain a little bit about the backdrop and the history of that business and the condition of that building. I've been running a foot orthotic lab and a pedorthic clinic since 2005, 6 in the spring when I rented it from Mary Galbatz. Now, at that time, it was really the only viable option for us as far as what we do, creating a lot of dust in our manufacturing process. As it's grown, it's not the most, shall we say, suitable building for the clinic itself. We have gait impaired individuals who come to the building. They do not have the capacity in many cases to walk very far. In many cases, I am putting them in front of the garage, which is yellow curbed by the city because that garage is a part of that building and something could be parked in there. And therefore, the access is guaranteed by the yellow curb. So as a result of that, with the parking issues that we have that lead to this special improvement district, my issue has been that I see one person at a time. I generally have about a vehicle an hour wants to pull up in front of the building. I understand parking is an issue and that the city has that issue to deal with. However, I would like to state that the business itself and the building itself have either been involved in the history of locomotion one way or another. So early in the day, it was the blacksmith and wagon wheel repair, horseshoeing, branding of local herds, etc. For a very short moment, it was a saloon in the 1870s. Once the car was invented, it became a repair garage. The building was erected on caissons over dirt. That work was done on dirt until the cars were invented. The floor in there is haphazard. There are sections that have been fortified over the years to support heavier vehicles. During World War I and II, heavier vehicles were pulled in there to be repaired. That building has primarily since then, until I occupied it, been involved in automobile repair. As we know, that is pretty tenuous for that location at this time, even with the 2 garage doors. It's a highly pedestrian area. There's a lot of people walking through there. There's really, in my mind, no way that place is going to be an auto repair shop. But however, because of the condition of the building, the plumbing being in the northeast corner, we've made sacrifices over the years running our clinic in that building. We have issues potentially with pedestrian and handicapped access, although I would argue that I don't really have a purpose in serving anyone that has to move around in a wheelchair. I'm involved in working with people who can stand and walk still but have impairments thereof. I'd like to state that the parking garage will not bring any more business to Extreme Footworks, and Extreme Footworks will not cost any space consumption in that parking garage as it's designed and where it will be located. I don't know what's happening with the other buildings in town and the way that that's assessed, but I could see that the arguments are pretty sound for restaurants and retail where there's the potential for a greater volume for those businesses based on that presence of that garage, but that will simply not be the case for Extreme Footworks.
And Sean, I'm sorry, I should have told you in the beginning, it's a 3-minute
Yeah,
comment.
so I'm done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all I had to say. And I just wanted to voice it once, get it on the record. I don't know that it matters or will change anything, but thank you for your audience.
Well, thank you. I
Thanks,
appreciate
yeah,
you coming in.
good points.
Thank you very much. All right, do we have anything from the finance officer tonight? Okay. We will move to resolutions, and we're starting off with resolution 23, series 2022. Do I have a motion?
Yes, I will approve resolution 23, series 2022, a resolution approving amendments to the Idaho Springs Employee Handbook concerning timekeeping and holidays.
Thank you, Kane. Do I have a second?
A second.
All right, any discussion? Yes,
Mr.
John.
Mayor, I just want to tell you that Councilman Clark is online. He's on the Zoom.
Oh, good. Okay. I just want to make sure there's no discussion. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Art Cacavelli.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes, if you can hear me.
We can.
John Curtis.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up is resolution number 24. Do I have a motion?
I will move to approve resolution 24, series 2022, a resolution supporting a yes vote on city ballot measure 2B to increase the city's sales tax by 1% and dedicate the revenues to reducing the impacts of potential future utility rate increases to customers and water and wastewater capital improvements.
Thank you. And do I have a second?
I second.
I have a first and a second discussion.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, John.
But
No, go ahead. It's just a request for mine.
I still have some concerns about taking this out of the enterprise fund and putting projects up to a vote with people.
The only thing I'd like is if we can have John or Andy send us the graph that you guys had, that I think really explained it very well, so that we could get it on my, I can share it on my social media. And I wanted to verify this, Carmen, that is something I can share without even making a comment. Simply say I support this on my social media. Is that something I can do? Okay, so it's already been approved. Sorry, go ahead, Carmen. Okay.
Nope, I just said yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, thank you. So if you don't mind, if I have that somewhere, yeah, thanks.
All right, any more comment? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Art Cacavelli.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
No,
John Curtis.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
All right, moving to the addition to our agenda, and this would be resolution number 25, series 2022. I would like to make the motion that we approve resolution number 25, series 2022, a resolution supporting the city's application for non-motorized trail grant funding from Colorado Parks and Wildlife, parentheses CPW, for Virginia Canyon Mountain Bike Park. And do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. A first and a second, any discussion?
How much we going for? Grants.
As
Jonathan?
much as they'll give us.
We're going to apply for $249,000. Our required match is $66,000 in cash, but we likely will spend less than that out of city funds. We have some in-kind donations we're working on finalizing right now. So I think our total contribution will be somewhere south of 60,000.
All right, so we're looking at, like 4 or 5 times bang for our buck.
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. That was a good question, John. Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Art Cacavelli.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
yes,
John Curtis.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
Okay, moving to ordinance first reading, starting with ordinance number 7. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve ordinance number 7, series 2022, an ordinance amending section 2.3 of the Idaho Springs Municipal Code to increase the compensation of the offices of city council and mayor for new terms commencing in January 2024 and thereafter.
Do I have a second?
Second.
First and a second discussion.
Just to reiterate that what this is, Chuck, just will you just give the timeline on the last time that any increase has been made to the mayor's position or council persons, just for the record?
Yeah, and we're really not sure, but it's been many
Then it's a long time.
election cycles, yes. And this should at least help with inflation. And I have just recommended to council that, heaven forbid we get into some type of a inflationary environment, but it's something that we can keep up with as inflation does come down the line. And I think it's easier to deal with now because we're not in an election cycle. So this will affect people who run in the future.
And it helps to get people interested, knowing that while it is somewhat a volunteer thing, the mayor's position is not really, it's definitely a part-time
Yeah,
job.
you won't get anything else done. That's,
Right.
if you're doing the job right, at least I believe.
Right.
Uh,
I have a quick question.
Yes,
In there, it says, it's commencing January of 2026 for the mayor rather than January 2024.
well, I have 3 more years. in my
Oh,
term.
okay.
So, yeah, and slightly different, for council,
council,
but,
yeah.
any
I thought you
further,
had 2, I'm sorry.
oh, any further discussion?
The packet is that it's an ordinance number 6, I have an ordinance number 6.
It goes 6, 8, 7.
Oh,
Packet.
Scott, that may be a good catch here. Let's see what's going on.
Ordinance 6 should be after for second reading. That's coming up later.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'm sorry.
The main
I got
order of
you.
it.
All right, well, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Art Cacavel.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
yes,
John Curtis.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, moving to ordinance number 8. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move to approve ordinance number 8, series 2022, an ordinance amending subsection 8-4A of the Idaho Springs Municipal Code to exempt from city sales tax the sale of certain hygiene products.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
that. Oh, Lisa's got it.
Okay, Lisa, second. And discussion. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Art Cacavel.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
yes,
John Curtis.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
All right, thank you. We'll move to ordinance number 9. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve ordinance number 9, series 2022. An ordinance amending sections 21-33, 21-50, and 21-104 of the Idaho Springs Municipal Code concerning short-term rental insurance requirements, permissible locations of accessory dwelling units, and expiration of certificates of appropriateness.
Thank you, Kate. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second discussion, please.
And you explain this just a little bit? Is it Jonathan or
Oh,
Derek?
So I can speak on it. So we did put this on the agenda because we worked with an applicant to have a special planning commission meeting on Thursday. That ended up being withdrawn, but we did have this text amendment on there. The planning commission did not take action on this text amendment at this point in time, but intend to in probably November. So we left the first reading of the ordinance on for tonight with the knowledge that it won't come before you for second reading for quite some time, probably November. And there's always a chance that it could potentially be tweaked between now and then, especially depending on planning commissions. So I'd be happy to dive into the greater detail if you'd like, but I would prefer to wait until planning commission.
So is this, it's basically a legal matter? Is it protection for insurance purposes? Is that?
Correct. A few years ago when the STR program was first started, and we've got a couple of little STR updates going, there was quite a bit of interest in having an insurance or some form of proof of insurance. And initially, it was determined that we would stay with more of just a broad homeowners insurance. So what this really does is it allows locations to either have to notify their insurance company or are required to get insurance through the platforms.
rental-
There we go.
the
Thank you.
rental
Platforms.
yeah.
So it gives you a little bit of flexibility there. It's not, we don't feel that's too onerous for the STR properties.
All right, any further questions?
Mayor,
Yes.
we would like to table it to a date certain, and that would be the city council meeting on November 14th.
All right, you're talking about for the second.
That's when the second reading would be. I apologize, not table it. During the first reading now, that's when we would likely have the second reading. Thank you.
All right, makes sense, and that would give planning commission a chance to to weigh in as well.
Yep, thank you.
All right, well, I appreciate that, and if there's no further comments or questions, roll call, please.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Art Cacavelli.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
John Curtis.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
All right, now we'll move to ordinance second reading. We only have one, which is ordinance number 6. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve ordinance number 6, series 2022, an ordinance amending section 21-33 of the Idaho Springs Municipal Code to amend short-term rental license term and renewal dates to be consistent with other city licensing periods.
Thank you, Scott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Art. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Art Cacavelli.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
All right. Next up is a city attorney, and I think, Carmen, you've already telegraphed, you didn't have anything new for us tonight.
No, Mayor and Council, in this case, no news is good news. I have nothing to report. Thank you for all the action on the resolutions and ordinances we're throwing at you. I appreciate that, but I have nothing further.
All right, well, thank you, and have yourself a good night.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
All right, City Administrator Andy, you don't have any action items tonight?
I do not.
All right. And moving to the Assistant City Administrator, Jonathan, you also have no action items tonight, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And Deputy City Clerk, no action items either?
You are correct.
Okay. All right, and Jared, nothing new for us tonight, right?
Nothing new.
Okay. So we will move to Chief, and he does have an action item for us tonight.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, I've submitted a memo with the staff report in regards to vehicles. So it basically explains what's going on, which is Ford, along with other manufacturers, are backlogged terribly, and due to supply chain issues. Also, you know, our profession during the George Floyd incident, and when that happened, and sort of the defund the police thing was going on, a lot of agencies across the country stopped purchasing. So when that happened, now there's a huge backlog. So everybody is scrambling for vehicles. So council approved in the budget last year for us to replace a vehicle. So we made that order in March, and we had an officer involved in an accident in the springtime during a storm. That vehicle was drivable, so we used it kind of as a spare, but it was basically analyzed by the insurance company and is being totaled. So the city will get approximately $10,000 for that vehicle. So we need to replace that one. And then I was going to ask to replace another high mileage vehicle in the upcoming budget process. So when we contacted Ford on September 8th, we were told that if we were going to place an order, the deadline was actually September 9th. So basically what they did was the deadline for ordering a 2023 Ford was September 9th. They also informed us that they weren't going to deliver the 2022 vehicle that we had ordered back in March. So because they cut off making those vehicles, so they're not making them anymore. And they have the cutoff of September 9th. So what I did was I went ahead and approved an order for 3 vehicles with the caveat that if council were to not approve the process, then we can obviously withdraw that order. But we were under a deadline. And apparently it's similar with other manufacturers as well, with Dodge. And then to add to that, just as far as our patrol fleet goes, another one of our vehicles had something break in the steering, and we were told that part won't be available for 6 months. So we have a vehicle that's sitting at the Ford dealership that's been there for 2 months, a month or two already. And so we're not sure when that's gonna to be available. So the supply chain issue in vehicles, whether it's the chips or, you know, whatever those are, that is an existing problem. And so I would cross my fingers that we will get this order, because our fleet is we're not dire straits, but it's a little bit concerning. So basically what I was looking for was approval from council to go forward with that order at this point. And that's what I was looking for.
All right, well, thank you. So Chief, this is a total of 3 vehicles, one of which we had already approved, one the insurance company totaled out on us.
Right.
And then, of course, wasn't enough, we've got a never-ending supply chain issue, one that needs a part.
Right.
And Chief, I would point out, because this has everything to do with budget, you were like a couple $100,000 under budget on your lot. I mean, it was very significant.
Right. Well, that's partly with not having.
Well, yes.
That's a helper. The only upside to not having a place.
The other bigger.
Take credit for it.
Discuss right now, or-
Yeah, you know, it may not be in keeping, but let's discuss.
Does this get us back to the right amount of vehicles then, basically? It gets us back to where you were?
It does. It does.
And Chief brings up a good point. I mean, the fact of the matter is, we weren't paying out that money that was in the budget for employment. So we do have it. And with new employees coming in, there is a certain incentive that they're driving in cars that are sturdy, reliable, and functional. So that's also an added bonus to the fleet, I think.
It is. So really, one of them was already approved by council.
Mhm.
And then obviously, with the damaged vehicle that's totaled, that puts us in that position. But I also asked for that the third one, because of, again, my ongoing concern with how long it takes for us to actually get these vehicles.
Mhm.
So in fact, from what was relayed to the sergeant when he was dealing with the dealership, they basically, so once September 9th deadline happened, they're not accepting any orders until they'll open up those orders for 2024 in the spring sometime. So and they only do orders, so they're not manufacturing these vehicles and having a supply, a surplus that's just sitting there for agencies to buy, which is what they used to do.
So this is order on demand.
It's order on demand, exactly. So that's the model that these manufacturers have gone to. I'm not sure why, but that's what they've done.
With this third car, the one that you're asking for with, for next year's budget, will that bring you up to the standards that you need for all the officers that you have, since we're actually gonna come up to full staff?
It will.
The other question I have is the one that's sitting at the Ford dealership, do you still have that on order to be fixed, or?
Correct.
So that'll give you an extra vehicle?
Well, it's assigned to an officer, but they're driving. We have enough vehicles in our fleet for the positions that we're allotted.
Okay.
So we currently have that. What we're doing is we're just trying to keep up with vehicles that are starting to cost more money than to, yeah.
It might be a new practice that, I mean, John's department as well, where we have a one extra that gets rotated in gently and is sort of a backup, just because then we don't have to wait to find that vehicle for your fleets. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Just like what you're doing, you're preempting something going wrong with another vehicle by getting that third vehicle. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Is the vehicle that's total and the vehicle that's in the shop the same type of vehicle?
No. So that's,
Ford?
no, the vehicle that's down waiting on the part is an Explorer, but the vehicle that's totaled is a Taurus platform.
Is the steering mechanism different?
Yes.
So if we get these three vehicles, we're not looking to retire one right now. We're just looking to retire some in the future.
Just the,
Correct, we would retire, obviously, the total car is, we're basically retired, the hood doesn't open. So yes, with that vehicle, and then the other ones would be rotating out the high mileage.
But other than the total vehicle, we're not looking to retire anything else right now.
No, not right now. And
Unless-
in fact, sorry, I would actually argue like what Councilman Collier just said, maybe having a spare vehicle. So we have one in case we run into a similar problem in the future.
it sounds like it's gonna be for a few years if that's gonna be an
It
issue.
may be an issue, yes.
Well, it just sounds like you're very short right now, so is that putting you into any kind of situations, being as short as you are right now?
No, we have a plan. If something were to happen with more of the vehicles, I can leave my truck here and it could be used. And so we would have a plan for that.
What is the delivery date for these? Since you ordered all of them September 9th, will they all come at the same time or?
In theory, yes.
So in theory, what did they say by the spring or?
They didn't say.
Just to kind of give you a timeline, I ordered a pickup in January. We still have not received it.
Oh my God.
So that's the point, just of having that.
I mean, I would be happy if it was before fall of next year.
Wow.
No electrical? Just kidding. I don't like them.
This doesn't come out of the budget until it's purchased.
That question is coming out of the budget until it's purchased. That is correct. We just, we assign a line item for the 2022 vehicles. And 2023 will be, is yet to be determined. That's correct.
So we could be short on the police budget in 2022 and then
Pick it
a
up.
little pick it up in 2023,
Right.
right?
We'd have to allow for it in that budget next year, right?
Right.
That we pay ourselves back,
Starts
sort
all
of.
over.
Gotcha. All right,
Any further discussion? I'm gonna make a motion that, yes.
The only other point I might make is that this has been a practice of the city for quite a few years, is to place orders before the budget is approved the next year, just because of the lead time, and now it's become extreme. So, but it has been a common practice to order vehicles, police vehicles, and sometimes the other vehicles, typically in the fall when you have those deadlines, and then you get the vehicle, the new budget year, it would still be approved in the budget by city council. So that still happens. We could always cancel if we had to at some point, but that's technically, it's not approved in the budget yet, but it will be. We'll have 3 vehicles in the budget for next year.
Right. And I'm glad John Bardoni weighed in because it really underscores how ridiculous this is getting. He places an order in January, October is almost upon us and nothing.
Unfortunately, it's not just vehicles, it's the whole world we live in right now.
Yeah.
A lot of other things too.
All right. I would like to make a motion that we approve Chief Busick's recommendation for the replacement of 3 vehicles with vehicle 1 that was already budgeted for fiscal year 2022 from line item 21-00-6012. Vehicle number 2 will be taken from fiscal year 2022 line 21-00-6012 per City Administrator Marsh. And vehicle number 3 will be budgeted for year 2023 line item to be determined.
a second.
I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? A roll call, please.
Mayor Chuck Harmon,
Yes.
Kate Collier,
Yes.
Art Cacavel,
Yes.
Scott Pennell,
Yes.
Jimmy Clark,
Yes.
Tom Curtis,
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
All right, last item, or next to last item, I was appointed to the Local Government Limited Gaming Impact Advisory Committee. And there's about 272 cities and towns in Colorado. A few are seriously impacted by gaming. The state recognizes that. And we have 2 municipal appointees in the state to that. And I will be representing the folks here in Clear Creek County, Gilpin and Teller County, which are our friends down south. And what it is, there's basically on average about $5.5 million to split up on worthwhile projects in communities that are affected by gambling. And I'll give you a quick example. The little city, or the little town, I should say, of Victor, which is just a couple miles from Cripple Creek. I've been there many times. I doubt if it has more than 300-400 people, but they get most of the funding for their police department, or between $250,000 and $275,000 from this fund. So it can be very meaningful. Clear Creek County, I think this year has about $160,000 worth of requests. George Marlin is one of 3 commissioners in the state that are also assigned to this. And I would have to recuse myself if there was something to benefit Idaho Springs. But I will tell you, Idaho Springs gets 10 preference points because of our impact. And you've got to go clear down to like Victor to find another area with 10 points. The county, for example, gets 5. So we already, get about double to try to help us along with some of our grant requests. And the committee meets 7 times a year, at least it's scheduled, and we look at the projects and score them. But I think that I wanted to share this with you because it may pay dividends down the line. I believe our city is ripe to receive some of these funds, and our county to continue to reap some of these funds. Any questions about it?
Got it, John.
Thank you, Scott. See, I got it.
He's been waiting. That's what I.
Yeah, and
He doesn't have.
let me digress for a moment. John Bardoni, you don't have anything to share with us tonight? Okay, all right.
Somebody forgot about you. Scott was watching out for you.
I feel bad. Scott was looking out. Scott was looking out. Yeah. And the last thing before we adjourn.
We want to make sure we acknowledge that. Thank you.
The last thing before we adjourn, and it is really difficult. I don't know if you've heard, but Under Sheriff Bruce Snelling passed away at his home yesterday. And it's a tremendous loss for our community. He was under sheriff here for 7 years. Really never lost his sense of humanity. And I believe he was only 60 years old too. It was, it was very, very tragic and very sudden. Jimmy, I know you're online, and I know you had a lot of interactions with him. And Jimmy was actually the one that informed me of his passing. I didn't know. And Chief, I'm sure you had many interactions with him as well. So a tremendous loss. I just wanted to make everyone aware of his passing, and how very sorry I know we all feel about this. But did anybody have anything else tonight, or anything they wanted to say?
He was a nice man and he was a good cop. So yeah.
I agree. Thank you,
It's
Kate.
a tragedy.
I absolutely agree.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, Jimmy, I appreciate the notification here the other day. Very, very, very hard loss.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything more from anyone tonight, Andy?
This is Councilmember Manifold's last week.
Oh, yes,
It is.
and let me say, I know I speak for everybody. You really came prepared, asked great questions. Things were very well thought out. And I am reminded that our Wonder says we did not receive any letters of interested parties for some of our committees where
I know.
we really could use someone with your talent. To be perfectly frank, we hope you join us in one of those other committees, zoning and planning. I think it'd be perfect for you, but that's just me.
Just an opinion.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
So-
have enjoyed it and hopefully this will not be the last time.
Absolutely.
We hope you come back.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yep.
I love working for the
I knew
city.
you would.
But thank you.
Said I knew you would.
We really did enjoy having you. Yes, thank you.
Chuck, can I just say one thing?
Yes.
It just was brought to my attention. I don't know how to say this, honestly. I should have probably called you Andy earlier. So within our community, we have an uptick in homelessness and unhomed. And the library where I work is now, we have a lot of activity. Everybody's been very nice and well-mannered. That's not even part of the issue. Is that it feels like there's a draw here that this particular homelessness is becoming sort of a camp of sorts, where they're coming to Idaho Springs because they can help each other out and they're using our resources, whether that's the rec center is giving, whatever they're helping with, or the food bank that we have. I think what the discussion needs to be is that we need to start talking about how we're gonna help these people in a more humane way, because I think right now it's just that we're leaving them to their devices, and you probably have an opinion about this. Winter's coming, and it could end very poorly for some of these folks that don't have anywhere to go. So I just wanted to bring it to, because if you're not downtown and you're not at the library and you're not at the rec center, you might not notice it as much, but it's certainly it's probably the biggest influx of unhomed people that I've seen. And again, they have been well-mannered, they have been kind, they have been courteous, so that is not the issue. It's just how do we help them properly in a community without those resources? That's all I have to say.
Well, thank you, Kate.
Yeah, because October 6th is when our first frost is scheduled. Like
Uh,
it's coming quick.
It's quick, fast, yeah.
I'll add one thing.
Jessica.
There was a recent event in another Colorado town that made the national news, the police force issue. And I think we're making strides and going the right direction by training. I think training is very, very important for the police department. So I suggest we keep that at the top of our list.
Thank you, Scott. I noticed on Chief's list, I believe it was Officer Frost who was doing some mental health training, and I agree with you. I think we're definitely making strides in the right direction. All right, anything further before we adjourn? All right, I want to thank everyone.